when you're first doing images, I highly recommend that you at least read this little graphic right here, okay? Lots of images, if you're taking like with a digital camera and stuff, you're in megapixels and you're huge. You're literally taking almost the size of a billboard. And so you want to kind of scale your stuff down for the web. We recommend 100 DPI if you're scanning, or basically trying to get your file size right around less than a meg for your original upload, because we're going to shrink it even more than that. Your eye can only pick up so much detail, so that's just kind of a precautionary thing. So I'm going to click Browse, and then I'm going to go find my Tahoe photos, and I'm going to click on Photo 1, hit Open. If you wanted to, you could add a caption. It's not required at all, and you can say add the photo. What it does is it takes you through some steps and it crunches it. And so then basically if you wanted to, there's links at the top or the bottom if you wanted to go back and add some more, or you could just hit your back button. It doesn't really matter. But I'd say add more, and I'm going to add my second photo to that. So here's photo 2, open, add it, and it basically just kind of crunches it for you. Then if I view my gallery, I now have 2 of the photos for my Tahoe. So it's a piece of cake. Awesome. One of the things that I do want to show you is that each stock unit is starting to build what's called a history. So see if you can find a stock unit and click on the history. Currently it says, hey, I added to the system, I'm currently at Steamboat, and I have 0 floor plan activity. It's starting to track some different history. Now the reason that we actually added histories was we wanted to know how long they had been at different locations, okay? And it's according to your end date, if that makes sense. So let's pretend that my Tahoe is actually a little older. I'm going to hit back, and I'm going to actually switch modes so I can actually edit the end date, and then I'm going to hit Edit Unit, and I'm going to back it up a little bit. I'm going to say it's actually a year old. So instead of 8/27/13, I'm just going to back that up, so it's going to give it about 365 days on my lot. And I'm going to come down to the bottom and say Edit the Unit. So at this point, my age is 365 days old, okay? So if I look at my history, I can come down in here, and nothing's really happened, but it kind of says, hey, here's what's going on. I'm slowly starting to change some stuff. But if I do this, if I come in here and I hit Edit Unit, and I flip it to a new location, so say, for instance, instead of Steamboat, I say, you know what, I'm going to move that to Breck. And then I hit, go ahead and edit that unit. What I wanted to show you is in your history, it'll start actually calculating as far as like where the different pieces are. Mine was on the same date, so it doesn't have all the different little pieces there, but it would actually show you how long, what's the difference between these ages, and where was it at at the different locations. And so what they were trying to do originally is they were trying to move things around, but they also wanted to know like who changed it, who did something, who did something. So watch this. Here's another little piece that they used to use tons about. There's a little link that says View Notes. If I click on this, this is the main notes for my Chevy Tahoe. Maybe I could put something like this. Maybe the driver's side door. This is actually a very common problem with Chevys. What it is their doors are so heavy, the springs that they're on, it actually kind of makes them kind of pull down. But eventually you just have to kind of keep pushing them up, and then it reloads those springs. But anyway, you can add your little notes. As you do it, it's constantly adding your pieces into your puzzle. But every single time you make something or do something, a history is being added, updated the unit notes. So it's constantly keeping this running tally of who's in here and who's doing what. And currently I'm under Adilas Demo, but if I was under a different username, it would actually have my username. So you can kind of tell who is seeing these different pieces. Do you guys want to see how it is to sell a unit? So now that you got them in there, actually, first thing let's do is let's search it. We've got them in here. How are you going to go find your unit? I want you guys to do this. Search inventory. Either use these quick ones up at the top, or kind of detail it out a little bit, but I want to see if you can land it and get your stuff. So mine, I know, is an SUV. I'm going to go SUVs and go get all my SUVs. Boom. And here's my Chevy Tahoe right here that I was looking for. I could filter it even further, but I want to make sure you guys can land on your items. Jan, any questions or problems, or you got it? Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to actually pretend that we're going to sell this. When you're selling a stock unit, a big ticket item, you start from that item. Contrary to different things, let me show you on a different little spot here, okay? Normally, when you are doing just a quick little sale, a customer comes in, you build a shopping cart, eventually you figure out if it's going to be a real invoice or not, and you pull from your general inventory pool, kind of across these lines, okay? This is basic. Say I'm going to sell a box of granola bars, okay? Customer comes in, he wants it, granola bars, I pull them out of my inventory, boom, piece of cake. That's kind of a general, what we call like a parts transaction, or a counter sale, or just a normal transaction. When we start getting into stock units, what we do is we change that up just slightly. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just switch back to my marker. So what we do from the stock units is we start here, and then we slowly start adding an invoice. We collect customer information, and eventually it becomes a shopping cart, and then I can add extra items if I need to pull it back across. Okay, so it's a slightly different process. But if you are doing stock units, you start at the unit. Okay, so we're just going to jump in there and make sure it happens. So I'm right here. I found it. I'm talking with the people. They're really happy. They're like, oh yeah, that's great. But can you do it for $6,000? And I'm like, can I? Yes or no? Watch this. If you wanted to, there's a little link right here by calc. I'm in the full mode right now, but you could actually click here and you could change this. Oh, looks like I need a permission. Not a problem. We haven't talked about this. Shannon, I know you know how to do permissions. Talk me through how I would add a permission. I'll tell you which one it is, but we need to get to permissions. I'm at my thing. I just clicked on calc and it says, sorry, you don't have a permission. How am I going to add this thing?
So I would probably go to the classic homepage.
Perfect. So I'm going to go home and somehow get to the classic homepage. There's a button right here, or if you wanted to, you always have the chooser option, which could get you to the classic homepage. Okay, I'm now at the classic homepage. Now where?
Under System Management.
Under System Management. Perfect.
Select that and add edit pays and permissions. Go.
Awesome. Go. Okay, we're currently under Adilas Demo. So let's find it. It's right here. And I would click on this name. Here's all the information, all this kind of stuff like this. What I want to do is I actually know that the piece that I need is under System Basics. It's a special little calculator. Okay, so I clicked on System Basics and we're going to scroll down. We numbered them. We are going to look for 29. Okay, 29, and I'm going to also, that's perfect for now. So once I have 29, go ahead and go to the bottom of the page. One real quick thing about the numbering system. These are just for your reference. As we add new permissions, these numbers will change. So don't be like, oh no, it's not 29 anymore. It totally could be 32 in a couple days, but like it kind of depends. Right now it's 29. We'll go to the bottom of the page. Now, since all of us are on Adilas Demo, let's just have one of you guys submit it, okay? Actually, I'll just submit it. Not that it really makes a whole lot of difference, but usually you're under your own username, but we have to realize there's multiple of us that are playing in the same environment right now. So now I'm going to go like this. I'm going to use my super back button. On my browser, I have the option of clicking this little drop-down button. Some browsers, you just click and hold the back button. But I want to go back to the stock unit detail page. So right here. Okay, and now if I click calc, so I'm still on my Chevy Tahoe, and I click calc, it pulls me into this environment where I can kind of figure out what kind of profit I'm making, what kind of markup I'm making, etc. So right now, I'm currently not making much at all, okay? I'm currently making $465. That's not much for a stock unit, per se, okay? If you make that much on a box of cereal, you're doing great, but like it's relative, and those are just your profit margins, okay? So watch this. If I wanted to change it, and I wanted to kind of see what I would be like if the person wanted it for $6,000, I could literally just hit calculate, and it would let me know, oh, I'm only making $170. Am I okay with that? ooh, I don't know if I am or not. But basically, it allows you to kind of look at your deal and kind of see what's going to happen. And there's even ways to calculate your payments. You can figure out, like, man, if I did do it for $6,000, let's say that I was able to get the person 7%, and say they wanted to do it for 5 years. What would their payment be? It does the whole thing. 6,700 for 60 months, or which is roughly 5 years, would be a payment of just over $100. And they'd end up paying a little bit in interest, a little over $1,000 in interest. Okay. You can add markups and trade-ins and down payments and et cetera, et cetera. You can kind of work your deals and kind of play with that. Or the bank, you're like, you know what, all of my people are at 10%. This is a high dollar, high dollar loan, and I always tack in an extra $500 for this or that or whatever. Like, you could calculate these things. When you calculate your payments, boom, it'll then push it up. So instead of 118, because we have that higher payment, boom, and the higher interest rate, it just kicked it up a little bit on the payment. Anyway, get used to using your back button. You'll be able to find where you're at. Now I know that, okay, I am going to sell mine for $6,000. I'm only going to make about $100 and some odd, and that's up to you, okay? But here's where we're at. There's a little link right up here at the top that says Invoice and Quote. Right from the stock unit detail page. So we'll say Invoice Quote, and I'll click on it, and I have to see where I'm selling it from. I'm currently in Breckenridge, so I'm going to begin the sales process. So this little thing right over here will be my friend. It'll kind of help me walk through the different processes of what needs to happen. I'm actually going to be creating buyer's order. It's great from Breckenridge. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to come down. The main salesperson, I'm going to actually put myself as the main salesperson. And currently it's not going to be a split deal. Like, you could actually split the deal. This deals with commissions, okay? So right now I'm just going to leave it as I'm the only salesperson on this. My odometer reading, basically this has to be numeric. When you originally enter your item, you can actually put, hey, it's 56K or something like that. But when you actually go to sell it, they want to know, okay, what is it when you sold it? Because usually that ends up going on to paperwork, okay? So I'm just going to put that mine's 121,000. And here's my note. It still has my note that the driver's side door is getting hard to open. And we'll just hit continue. What it does is it'll kind of start walking through this little process for you. Customer name. Let's say that I wanted to sell it to, let's see if there's any mores in here, okay? Basically, it'll max out at 4 characters. And what that does is it allows you to not type and type and type and type and type and type and type, and you just misspelled it by one little thing and then it can't find it, okay? It's kind of, hey, you know what? We're going to do a flexi search anyway. Just keep it small. Let's see if they have any mores in there. I'll hit search. No mores. So I'm going to go ahead and add a customer. And I'm going to go ahead and say that this is for Brandon Moore. We'll just add a quick little address here. If you want to, you can put a county, your choice. It kind of depends on, sometimes people care about that, sometimes they don't, especially in big ticket items. The thing that gets funky with big ticket items is the taxes. Which county are you in? Where are you going to register it? Where did you buy it from? Are you planning on, like, it gets all kinds of crazy. But I'm going to just go ahead and put C-A-C-H-E, cash. I'm in the state of Utah, 84333. I do need at least one phone number. Like, you'll notice that there's not an asterisk. The reason I say that I know that I'll need at least a phone number is eventually when I go for my checkout process, I do need that for a stock unit. I need some information. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a phone number in here. Okay, and say I wanted to put an email in here. We're going to come down. You can do a whole bunch of different little pieces if you wanted to. You can assign certain salespersons, etc., and he's Brandon. Say if you wanted to add a wife or a cosigner, you could add that, tons and tons of different things. I'm just going to say add the customer. Good. So automatically it still remembered, hey, he's in the stock checkout process, and here's my information. It pulled it in. Okay. So the temp tag, I am not sure right now. Technically you would want it. The driver's license number. If you're buying a big ticket item, you need to have driver's license number. Okay. So say, for instance, we just put in a driver's license number, and I did get a copy of that. Like, you have to get all sorts of paperwork and all this kind of stuff. It's so different from, like I was saying, the granola bars, the box of cereal, or your parts or widgets or a spare tire or something. That's a quick little transaction. Or say a service center where somebody's paying for some labor or an oil change. I need your license, I need this, did I get a temp tags? You need a bunch more pieces of the puzzle, okay? So you come down, how do you want to register this? I'm going to actually go Brandon and Heather. Perfect. Scroll down, check some of your other fields, and say continue. So at this point, I've got unit information, customer information. Are there any trade-ins? If there are, you would actually go into here. If you are doing trade-ins, I would highly recommend that you read the help file. Trade-ins are live. So if I have, say, for instance, a Ford F-150 pickup that I'm going to be trading in, I'd be like, yes, I do have a new one. And here we go. Do I have it? Yes. Here's what it is. Add. And all of a sudden, it'll take me right to the point where I can stock it in. So then I would stock in this new item, so it automatically will be able to create the tie, what's called the parent stock number of who was what, okay? It kind of takes you through that whole process. You can add up to like 5 trade-ins if you want. Like, that's a ton. Normally people are like 1 or 2 trade-ins, that's max. I think you can actually do up to 5 trade-ins if you need to, okay? So we're going to just continue on trade-ins. You're now to taxes and fees. One thing that's interesting is you can see how these links become hot. Like Tanya said, okay, if you needed to go back, say, oh man, I forgot something, you could literally just jump right back, okay? Once you passed it, you can go back to it. So taxable, you can tweak anything special. Looks like I have an automatic $50 processing fee. You can preset some of these, okay? So like if you have what's called PAC, or you have all of these different things, lots of vehicle places have these little things like dealer handling fees, et cetera, a required county tax thing called a VIT tax, or, say it's a standard set thing. You can add tons of that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just come down and say continue. Do you have any warranty? Do you have any gap? If you're not familiar with cars, gap means, am I selling it for less than I owe? That technically becomes what's called a gap. It's upside down, okay? So then sometimes you have to kind of cover for that type of thing. So anyway, warranty information. Say I'm going to add a warranty. Say it's $500 for a tire warranty. That's going to only cost me $230, and it's a tire warranty. And I'm going to say create the cart. So at this point, I have Brandon Moore as my customer. I have my stock unit number 36, which is my Chevy Tahoe. I have some dealer handling, processing fee, a warranty, and now if I wanted to, I can even add other little items. Say I also had to do like a little bit of labor on this particular one. We were going to take it out and do a quick little lube job, but they're going to pay for it or something. Or maybe I wasn't going to charge for it. Watch this. Once I'm in the shopping cart mode, I can now add other pieces, okay? So I'm going to say add an item, and I'm just going to come down and say, hey, you know what, quantity 1, I'm actually going to do this for free, but I am going to document it. I'm going to put some labor. I'm just going to give you a free oil change, okay? And say I use 10W30 on my oil. Like it doesn't really make a lot of difference. I personally put mine in at 0. You could change the price or cost, whatever you wanted to do. I just wanted to show you, once you have your stock unit in there, you can start adding to this ticket and adding and adding. Say they wanted some wiper blades, or they're in your shop and they want to pick up a couple candy bars, or like you just keep adding and adding those different pieces. We haven't got into that yet, but like this is where it would kind of add it into the cart. Okay, so at this point, one of the interesting things, I already know how my titling is going to go. I know my license number. I have a bunch of other pieces that are already going to be starting to be attached to this Brandon Moore. Okay, so let's say that this looks good. I'm happy with it. And did I actually put mine in at 6,000? I didn't. I put it in at 6,200, didn't I? I didn't change mine. Uh-oh, that's what I need to do. Edit. This person just wanted to pay the 6,000, and go ahead and update that. Okay, so now it's 6,000. I rolled a few things through, and because I added all these extras right here, it's adding up a little bit more information. But only one of them is taxable, just the top one. So that's all I'm paying my taxes on. Okay. Now, if I wanted to kind of see where I'm at on the whole deal, there's a little link. Once I get more than one item in the cart, I can come up to the top. It says View Cart Profit Per Line. Now, this isn't something you're going to want to show your customer, but this is the person who's like, okay, before I seal this deal, I'm still in shopping cart mode. I haven't really submitted it to the database. Where are we at? You can come down and take a look really quick. Okay. So basically, it kind of looks like I'm going to actually make more on my warranty than I am on my deal for my particular one. Okay. But like, it'll just kind of give you an idea. It looks like the total that I'm going to be making is about $590 on that. Thank goodness for that warranty. Otherwise, I would have only been at $170, which would have hurt a little bit. Let's go ahead and hit back. I just wanted to kind of show you that little feature. And I'm now ready to check out. So I'm going to go ahead and hit check out. And how did I want to pay for this? And let's say I'm going to actually pay multiple different ways. So $6,000, or maybe I'm actually going to finance a bunch of that, depending on how it works. Say I have $2,000 I'm going to put down, and then the rest is actually going to have to be financed. Okay. So I'm just going to put $2,000, and I'm going to say that was a check. And I'm just going to put 555, just pretend, and say continue. I'm actually going to leave the rest of this 4,824, I'm going to leave that hanging for right now until I actually figure out the whole financing piece. But what it's going to do is like, hey, he still owes me this. Once I secure financing and I get all this stuff, I can come back in and reapply that. But I may not have this totally done at the time, or I may have. Kind of depends on what's going on. I'm going to leave it hanging right now. The invoice will hold that piece, and we'll just go from there. Continue. So this is my last chance. Review cart, final check. Does it look okay? Brandon, yes. 6,800, yes. Chevy Tahoe, got it. I'm going to put 2,000 down. He's still going to owe me this. Perfect, looks good. Create the invoice. At this point, I just stamp that into the database, so it's now created that invoice.